Senator John Boozman now joins us from Washington, D.C. Senator, always good to have you with us. As we speak midweek here, a red hot topic of debate is the confirmation of your colleague, Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama, as Attorney General. Senator Elizabeth Warren was censured on the floor Tuesday night, told she was in violation of a Senate rule for referring to a letter from Coretta Scott King that expressed some concerns with Sessions from a previous confirmation hearing. Give me your reason for why you voted with the Republican majority in curbing her speech when there's a lot of examples of the same rule violation.
Well, she was censured not only for reading the letter that she was reading, but also she had been warned previously because her speech was going over the boundary of the rule. And you not only cannot criticize directly, but you can't read a manuscript criticizing too. You can imagine when Secretary Clinton was confirmed by the Senate, there's been all kinds of publications, all kinds of things that have been written in a negative way about her. So you could very easily stand up there just reading documents like that and be very, very critical. So it's a rule that's been in place for a long time. And has been enforced in the past, so it was inappropriate, and so that's why I voted to censure it.
Well, just even today on Wednesday, we've seen Senator Udall, Senator Brown, Senator Merkley have read that very same letter on the floor of the U.S. Senate. They were not censured by that same rule. It strikes some people as being a set of rules for one person and not a set of rules for the others. How come there was not kind of equal punishment there?
Because you have to put the whole thing in context. You'd have to listen to her entire speech. Again, that's where she was called down the second time, but earlier on, she was also called down and said, you need to quit doing what you're doing, and she continued on down that path. So that's what it was. It was the totality of the whole thing.
Let's talk a little bit more just about policy and the atmosphere in Washington before we move to some more specific politics. There doesn't seem to be a lot of bipartisanship in Washington, D.C. these days. You got Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, the White House. You've been there before where you've been in the minority party. How should an opposition party object when they are by and far very powerless to stop party line votes?
Well, I think you should object. Certainly, we did that, and but on the other hand, I believe the first day of the Obama administration, we confirmed 7 of the appointees for cabinet positions. Those went very, very quickly. Those were people that many of us had real heartburn with, but the president has the ability, should have the ability, to put the people in place that he needs to help him, carry out the government functions. And so far the Democrats have been very, very obstructive in a way that we've not seen before. And that's their right to do that. The reality is we've got the votes, we're going to get them done, we're going to work late, we're going to do whatever we need to do to get these people confirmed.
Do you think once the confirmation hearings are over and we...
Let me just say...
Go ahead, sir.
Well, let me just say one thing about Jeff Sessions, too. Jeff Sessions is a person that I've had the opportunity to work with for the last several years. Many in the Senate, feel the same way. Jeff is not a perfect individual. You can disagree with him about certain things, but the idea that he's a racist or something like that is just totally false. In fact, just the opposite. He's worked hard through his career. Really in sometimes very difficult situations to advance the cause of desegregation, fighting the Ku Klux Klan, things that were very, very real when I was growing up. And because of people like Jeff, those things certainly are prevalent, but they're not near as prevalent as they used to be.
Let's move on. Once this confirmation of cabinet appointees and some of the sub-appointments kind of take place, do you think things will settle back into a little bit more of a bipartisan nature? Or do you think because Republicans, do control all the levers of government, do you think that you're just kind of have an opportunity to push your agenda through while you got the votes and that's the way things are going to be?
No, I think that things will settle down and we'll be working together. Today, I was part of a hearing on the Environment and Public Works Committee about infrastructure. It was very well attended by both sides, really good questions, good witnesses, talking about infrastructure, how that we do a better job. Right now we've got a D as a country. So those are the kind of things that I think there'll be people working together with, and eventually, once the cabinet's confirmed, a lot of this rancor will settle down. The only thing that we've got coming up that's going to cause a lot more rancor will be the Supreme Court nominee, and everyone agrees that he is a guy that, as far as qualifications and stuff, is of the highest quality. But that's going to create a fight for a while. We'll have the votes, I believe, ultimately to get him confirmed. But again, that'll be kind of the next battle. But along with that, I think it's important to understand that there are a lot of people working hard on things like the budget, things like infrastructure that we simply have to get done.
Let's talk about some headlines that your fellow Senator Tom Cotton has made this week. He's advocated for a 15% increase in military spending, more nuclear weapon development, a 50% cut in green cards, legal immigration. Do you support the proposals that Senator Cotton's hanging out there?
I hadn't really looked at them, to be honest. I'm on 5 committees myself. I'm on the Environment and Public Works, Agriculture, Budget, Appropriations, the list goes on and on. So I've been working really hard with those issues. I know that Tom has looked at the issues that you're talking about. So, we'll go through those. We'll discuss with him. We'll be discussing with a lot of other people. Ultimately, those things will have committee hearings, and so, we'll go from there.
You filed a bill to reduce credit restrictions for agricultural trade to Cuba. What's your time frame for moving on that legislation? And in the same context, you've talked to the Agriculture Secretary Designate, Sonny Perdue. Does he support your bill?
Well, I'm excited about Sonny Perdue because of the fact that he has great knowledge of agriculture and has worked in a lot of different sectors of it. He also understands Southern agriculture. Agriculture is one of those things, it's not Democrat or Republican, it's regional. But I think that he's going to have the ability to bring everybody together so that all of the regions will have something that they're happy with. In regard to Cuba, I'm working with Senator Heitkamp from North Dakota. We worked with her in the last Congress. We're going to be, doing all that we can to make it such that those that would like to finance, provide credit, that aren't involved with government. This doesn't have anything to do with putting the risk of the federal government, but individuals that would like to finance regarding agriculture would give them the ability to do so. As far as whether or not we can get that done, we'll not only be talking with the Secretary Perdue once he gets confirmed, but also the Secretary of State, people like that. I think that that's how you get yourself in a much better situation with countries like Cuba. You're not only trading goods and services, you're trading ideas, you're trading values. That's how you change the world.
Do you think you can get that bill pushed through by this summer? Do you think you can get it pushed through by the end of this year? Or do you think it's a longer time frame?
Well, the wild card, Roby, is you just don't really know where the administration is on a lot of these things. So that's what we'll have to determine. Certainly, it would be helpful to have the administration pushing, but we're going to be doing all that we can, not only with Cuba, but with finding new markets in general. You have to have the attitude that you've got one customer in the United States and 20 customers somewhere else. 40% of our agricultural products are exported, and so it really is important to find new markets as we go forward.
All right, last question for you as we wind things down here. Let's talk about health care. There was going to be a very quick repeal and replacement of health care by this Republican-controlled Congress. You're a doctor. There has not been a quick repeal. There has not really been consensus yet on what it might be replaced with. What's it going to look like, and when are we going to see something on this front?
Well, we've taken the first step towards repeal. But I'm a guy that believes that we need to get this done right. It's a huge sector of our economy, about 18%, but also it's all about real people. We want to get it right. We can't have a situation where people's premiums are continuing to increase dramatically with more and more increases in deductibles. You know, if your premiums, and President Clinton summed it up best, you know, you got so many people that are out there working hard whose premiums have doubled, and you've got $5,000, $10,000 deductibles. It doesn't work. So I'm for doing it right, and the idea that it's taking a little bit longer is okay with me, but there is a commitment to get it done, because I think most people feel like the situation that we're in now is simply, you know, it simply doesn't work.
Just a quick follow-up on that. Do you think that this may be less of a repeal and more of a fix for the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare? Do you think you might just fix some things that are broken with it?
I think it's going to be, well, I know it's going to be a repeal. The question is, what do you leave in place? And certainly things that I'm very concerned about are, you know, making sure that people with pre-existing conditions are protected. Insurance caps, where you pay your insurance all your life and then you get sick and your company drops you. Those have been good things. And so those are the things that we need to protect. But the thing that is not working right now, that there's nothing in there at all for, is affordability. There's nothing to control cost. And we simply have to put those things in place, or we'll be in the same situation, if not worse than we are now.
All right, our time is up. I'm going to have to wrap us up there. Senator John Boozman, as always, thanks for your time and best of luck to you.
Thank you so much for having me, Roby, as always.